both Jesus was called or invited and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted or lacked wine, the mother of Jesus saith unto him, They have no wine. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. His mother saith unto the servants, Whatsoever he saith unto you, do it. And there were set there 6 water pots of stone, after the manner of the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. Jesus saith unto them, the servants, Fill the water pots with water. And they filled them up to the brim. And he saith unto them, Draw up now, and bear unto the governor of the feast. And they bare it. When the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and knew not whence it was, but the servants which drew the water knew, the governor of the feast called the bridegroom, and said unto him, Every man at the beginning doth set forth good wine, and when men have well drunk, then that which is worse. But thou hast kept the good wine until now. This beginning of miracles did Jesus in Cana of Galilee, and manifested forth his glory, and his disciples believed on him. So what we have here is the account of Jesus turning water to wine. It's only recorded by John, and again, it's the first recorded miracle of Christ. We see that in verse 11, this beginning of miracles. And the fact that it is the first recorded miracle of Christ is really very significant. It may seem somewhat perplexing that Jesus' first miracle really was not something that wasn't something more astonishing, such as raising the dead, or healing a leper, giving sight to the blind, hearing to the deaf, the release of one from demonic control. But this beginning of miracles was the water was made wine. And being the first miracle, it sets forth a pattern of the character of all his miracles. The actual miracle is stated in verse 9. The water was made wine. That's the actual miracle. He changed one element into another. It is not specified how he did it. We're not told. It's simply that he did. The water was made wine. What Jesus did here, no one else could do. It's beyond explanation. And again, that serves as a pattern of all of Christ's miracles. All of Christ's miracles are beyond explanation, full comprehension. So all through the Gospels, we see Jesus doing the miraculous. So doing, he reveals his sovereignty, he reveals his dominion, his providing, transforming, enabling power. The miracles are a display of his grace. They are a display of his mercy, his love, his compassion, his kindness. The miracles reveal and are a reminder to us that he is all-encompassing. And he is the one who can. He is the one who can. And that's what we need to remember. He is the one who can. The recorded miracles of Christ are meant to teach us. They're meant to teach us valuable lessons and set forth the varied needs of man, and also the sufficiency and the efficiency that is in Christ to meet those needs. In this particular miracle, there is a powerful, encouraging, instructive message But many, as they ponder this miracle, if not most, get snagged on the issues surrounding the wine, surrounding alcohol, and they get so snagged there, they end up missing the joy of the message of the miracle. So we're not even going to say anything about the wine, other than it was real wine. It wasn't grape juice. It was real wine. We are immediately told concerning this miracle in verse 1 that it took place on the third day. In chapter 1, verse 29, we read the next day. Chapter 1, verse 35, we read the next day. John 1, verse 43, we read the day following. So there in John 1, you have 3 separate days. And then we come to the next, the third day. The third day. This would be the third day from the last day recorded in John chapter 1. It's not that difficult. There's a flow here. So it's the third day from the last incident recorded in John 1, which was the Lord calling Philip and Nathanael. John 1, verses 43 through 51. Again, this being the first miracle, it is a pattern miracle, and the particulars of the miracle do set a pattern, and set a pattern for the remainder of the miracles. So let's consider the pattern that is set forth. You have the occasion of the miracle, and that sets forth a pattern. We're told in verses 1 and 2 that the occasion is a wedding. That's the occasion of this miracle. Weddings symbolize an ushering in. And this first recorded miracle that took place at a wedding is the declaration, it is the ushering in of the one who can. The one who can do that which is beyond the power of man, beyond the power of nature, the one who can do the impossible. Weddings is a common event in life. It's a common experience of life, and Christ comes into the common events, the common experiences of life, and does the miraculous. In other words, a wedding is not an extraordinary event. They happen. So all through the Gospels, we see Jesus time and time again entering into the common experiences of life and doing what only He can do, and bringing about transformation, hope, peace, and joy in the common experiences of life. And all through the Gospels, we see Him stepping into the ordinary, bringing about the extraordinary. Then notice the place of the miracle. That also sets forth a pattern. We're told the place in verse 1, and we're told again in verse 11. It took place in Cana of Galilee, a relatively obscure little town outside of Nazareth. And it is a place mentioned 4 times in John's Gospel, twice in this count, and then 2 other times. So it's a very common place. It's an ordinary place. Nothing special about Cana. Nothing at all. We learn from this that Jesus not only steps into the common experiences but also the ordinary places. And what does He do? He makes them better. He makes them better. Jesus is concerned with and involved in the situations of ordinary life. That ought to be of great encouragement to us. And that's illustrated throughout his earthly ministry. Thirdly, you have the use of the ordinary. That also sets forth a pattern. It is this miracle of transforming water to wine. Verses 6 and 7 involved 6 water pots of stone and water. Nothing extraordinary, nothing extravagant. 6 water pots of stone and water. And all through the Gospels we see Jesus utilizing ordinary, everyday objects to accomplish the extraordinary, to accomplish the miraculous. He used ordinary people. Fishermen, tax collectors, as seen in his choice of the apostles. He often used insignificant means, fish, bread, to accomplish the extraordinary. Jesus does not need the extraordinary to accomplish the extraordinary. Because you see, the power is not in the means. The power is in Him. We forget that often. The power is not in what we have. The power is in Him. And that's always so. So it doesn't come down to what we have or what we don't have. The power is in Him. And again, this is a lesson that we need to learn, and we need to learn it well, and we need to remember it. The power is not in the means. It is in Him. And that truth must grip our hearts and our minds. He can and will use whatever He pleases. Can and He will. There is the awful tendency in the heart of man to put more focus upon the temporal means than the Lord. There is the awful propensity of our hearts to lean more upon the temporal means than the Lord of the means. And there is the awful and spiritually hindering inclination to have more confidence in temporal means than we do in the Lord. So in this miracle of water to wine, Jesus did the impossible, and He chose to use 6 water pots of stone and water. Again, nothing extraordinary about the water pots. Nothing extraordinary about the water. 6 clay pots in ordinary water. The power was not in the pots. The power was not in the water. The power was in Him. Notice verse 11. This beginning of miracles, and then notice those next 2 words. Did Jesus. There's the power. There's the reason the water was turned to wine. Commonplace water pots of stone. Commonplace water. And He turns the commonplace and the ordinary into wine. You and I, just like these servants, we can fill the jars with water. We can do that. But only He can turn it into something else. That's beyond us. We can do ordinary common tasks, but it is Christ that takes that ordinary common task and does the extraordinary. And we need to always remember that. There's also the use of that which was used in religious ritual. And that also sets forth a pattern. Notice, 6 water pots of stone. And what were they there for? The purifying of the Jews. That's what they were there for. The purifying of the Jews. So these 6 stone jars were appointed for ceremonial cleansing, or ritual purity, if you will. And Christ transformed the contents of those ritual water pots, showing that it's not ritual that man needs, but Christ. That also is an important lesson to learn. All of man's religion, all of man's ritual is empty, and it's useless by itself. But Christ took those water pots used in ritual cleansing, transformed their contents, showing us again that it's not religious ritual that man needs, but what man needs is what Christ can give, what only Christ can give. So he chose to put wine in vessels designed for ritual purity. These were not drinking vessels. These were bathing vessels used for cleansing. But he chose to put wine in these vessels that were used in religious ritual. Wine, of course, throughout the Scriptures is symbolic of his blood, revealing that he is the purifier. Revelation 7:14 makes that plain. He and he alone can turn the emptiness of religion and ritual into abundance. Religion is empty. Religious ritual is empty. He can turn it into abundance. Man begins to discover the emptiness of ritual and religion, and he tries to fix it. But that doesn't change it. Only Christ can change it. And then you have the nature of the miracle. Sets forth a pattern. It was a miracle of transformation. Verse 9. Water made wine. It was made something that it was not. A miracle of transformation. To transform is to make over to a radically different form. To change, to transfigure. Water to wine. Jesus Christ does not merely rearrange things. He transforms. Jesus can take the ordinary and make it extraordinary. Water made wine. It's not something that just happened. It is water made wine. Water made wine. He can. He can. He can take ugly lives and transform them into beauty. He can take that which is filthy and transform it into that which is clean. He can take that which is rebellious and transform it into obedience. He can take that which is offensive and turn it into that which is acceptable. He can take that which is broken and transform it into that which is whole. He can. He can. There wasn't an individual there that could take water and make it wine. No one could do that. No one could even tell you how to do that. But He did. And this is the great marvel throughout all of His miracles. Whether they be miracles over nature, miracles of healing, miracles over demonic forces, or miracles of resurrection, it doesn't matter. He's the one. He's the one that can impact and alter and absolutely transform. He can do that with death. He can do it with darkness, hurt, hopelessness, weakness, anguish, uncertainty, fear. And we see this throughout His miracles. He transforms. He does not merely rearrange. His miracle serves as a reminder. There is no condition. There is no circumstance. There is no sin. There is no guilt. There is no enslavement. There is no problem. There is no difficulty. There is no trial. There is no disease. There is no plague. There is no wound. There is no affliction or need that He is not sufficient for. Nothing is beyond Him. And all of His miracles serve as a reminder. He is the all-sufficient one. He is the one with the life and the salvation and the refreshment and the healing and the hope and the strength and the comfort and the relief and the joy and the victory that people so desperately need. He is the one. And His miracles serve as a reminder. He can. He can. He can take that which is wrecked and ruined and make it brand new. He can. Man can say it's beyond repair. That may be so, humanly speaking. But that's never so with the Lord. Nothing is beyond Him. His miracles tell us, don't give up. Don't give in to despair. Why? Because He can. He can. He can transform houses into homes. He can transform weddings into marriages. And He can turn desperate situations and make them delightful. He can take a useless commodity and turn it into a valued asset. He can. He can. And we need to focus upon Him and trust Him. So let's look at the significance of this particular miracle. All of Christ's miracles illustrate truths. They all serve as valuable reminders concerning life. Most of all concerning the person of Jesus Christ. And all of Christ's miracles are instructive. And they're all profitable to the spiritual well-being of God's people. Now, the situation of this particular miracle teaches us a valuable lesson, one that we must not forget. The miracle in comparison to others that Christ performed, this is not an urgent situation. It is not a life and death matter, as many of his miracles were. And this is the first one. It's not like other miracles, where one is suffering. It's really not an emergency situation. Oh, they may have thought it was, but it really isn't an emergency situation. They have no wine. That's not an emergency. It does not demand immediate action, as some of the other miracles did. It was more of a luxury, a non-essential. The situation, again, is not life-threatening. There's no health crisis. It's more of a social crisis. If Christ, let's say Christ chose not to perform this miracle. Well, there may have been some ramifications. The governor of the feast may have been embarrassed. He may have been ridiculed for not planning properly. But there's nothing life-threatening. This is not an urgent situation. The lesson is that the Lord is not merely concerned with the dire, desperate situations of our lives. Many times it's the only time God's people call on the Lord. But that's not the only time the Lord works miracles in our lives. He cares in it all. It may not be an emergency situation, but He can do the extraordinary. Therefore, in all matters, casting all your care upon Him, for He careth for you. 1 Peter 5:7. So the fact that it's not an emergency situation ought to be of great encouragement. I've even heard people say, well, I don't want to bother the Lord with something so small. First of all, you're not bothering the Lord. You're not bothering Him. So you need to get that idea out of your head. And the Lord works in small matters all the time. This particular miracle also illustrates and reminds us there are times of emptiness. They wanted wine. They lacked wine. It was then that Mary said to Christ, "They have no wine." There was an insufficiency of means. We've all been there and will be there again at some point. You may be there now. Where there is an insufficiency of means. There was an emptiness. There was a void. And guess what? It occurred unexpectedly. They were not expecting to run out of wine. I'm sure that they planned. This was unexpected. And all of God's people from time to time will wrestle with the issue of emptiness. There are empty or void spots in life. That can be true in the physical, the emotional, or the spiritual realm. Pursuits can become empty. Desires and goals can become empty. Marriages can become empty. Feelings of love can become empty. Feelings of assurance, feelings of security can become empty. Friendships can become empty. Prayer can become empty. Bible reading can become empty. Worship can become empty. Don't adapt to your emptiness, but go to Him. He can. He can. But emptiness and void can occur anywhere at any time in our lives. Those who planned the wedding feast in this account, they didn't expect to run out of wine. Nor did they even plan for it. But guess what? They lacked wine. They have no wine. And many times, emptiness will occur in areas where we never expected it to occur. They didn't expect to run out of wine. And I'm sure that they did the calculations and the preparations were made, but guess what? Emptiness still happened. You can plan and plan and plan and prepare and prepare and prepare. It can still fall apart. Many times emptiness may occur in areas that we do not expect. We can plan, we can prepare, we can know what we want to do, we can know where we want to be, we know how much we have in the bank, what we want to do with school, what we want to do with careers. You can have it all planned out, and everything may look like it's going according to plan, but guess what? Plan A can be blown up in a matter of seconds. It can be blown away. Something you never planned for, something you never expected. And you run out of what you need in an area where you never expected to run out. Emptiness happens. But there's a solution. And that, of course, is what we read here in this miracle. This particular miracle is instructive as to how to be prepared for emptiness. Notice in verse 2 that Jesus had been invited to the wedding. That's how you're prepared. You invite Jesus, you welcome Him into every aspect and area of your life. You do not leave Him out anywhere. That's how you be prepared. That's how you're prepared for emptiness. You seek His presence in every aspect and area of your life. You seek His blessing. You seek His guidance in every aspect, in every area of your life. In other words, you make Christ your life. And we've asked this before. How much of Christ is in our lives? How much of Christ is in our interests? How much of Christ is in our ways? How much of Christ is in our pursuits? How much of Christ is in our goals and our choices and our plans? Is Christ welcomed into every aspect of our life? Is He the priority? That's how you prepare for emptiness. This particular miracle is instructive as to what to do in time of emptiness. Verse 3, and when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus saith unto him, they lacked, and she said unto him. That's instructive. They lacked wine, she saith unto him. And what did she say? They have no wine. She stated a fact. They have no wine. She went to Jesus. And if He's welcomed into every aspect and area of your life, you have no problem going to Him. There's no indication in the account that she did anything prior to going to him. She may have, but there's no indication of that. Does not appear that she tried to remedy the situation on her own. 9 times out of 10, you'll only make it worse. Just go to him. Just go to him. When emptiness occurs, wherever it occurs, go to him. Go to him. Colossians 1:19, in him all fullness dwells. Can you think of a better place to go when you hit an empty spot than all fullness? He is sufficient for whatever the emptiness. He is the source that can meet the emptiness. He's more than the emptiness. He's all fullness. And in him is more than the emptiness. She went to him. And she said, they have no wine. She told Jesus, the wine has run out. Basically what she is saying to him by his response to her, do something. The wine has run out. Do something. That is better, because many criticize that. I want to tell you, that is better than saying, the wine has run out, I must do something. No, tell him to do something. The wine has run out. When they lacked wine, she saith unto him, there was a perceived need, a recognized need, and she told him. What's her focal point? Her focal point is him. She was casting the matter upon him. She's seeking him. They have no wine. That is a statement of need, but I believe also it is an appeal for help. They have no wine. When they lacked wine, she saith unto him. She talked to him. The response of Jesus is instructive of his character. In verse 4, he addresses her as woman. And I do not believe it's said in a tone of contempt or disrespect toward her. It's the same as he tenderly said to her from the cross, woman, behold thy son. It was not disrespectful or in a tone of contempt. In Jesus' reply, he proceeds to inform her that he would act in his own way, in his own time. That's what he's telling her. That's what we need to be told over and over. I'm God. I will act, and I will act in my time. We need to always keep that in mind. And be willing to wait. He is telling her basically this: Mary, leave the matter to me. And I will take care of it my way, my time. Just leave it with me. He knows what he will do. He knows when he'll do it. He knows what is best for us. And he will. What Mary said to the servants is instructive. Following Jesus' response to her, she turns to the servants and says, whatsoever he saith unto you, do it. So what has she done? She's left the matter with him. She has left the matter entirely with Him. She's trusting Him. And her advice to the servants is, you wait for Him and you do whatever He says. That's good advice. That's never bad advice. You wait for the Lord and you do whatever He says, whether it makes sense to you or not. Verse 7, Jesus told these servants, fill the water pots with water. And without hesitation, without questioning, and they filled them. The 6 water pots. Again, not drinking vessels. These were bathing vessels. And they filled them up to the brim. Because I believe that's what He instructed them to do. The lesson is, when you discover empty spots in your life, when the emptiness comes unexpectedly, and in areas where you never thought you would experience emptiness, keep the Lord the priority. The wine, the fact they lack wine, that's never the priority. The need is never the priority. The Lord is the priority. Go straight to Him. Tell Him. Leave everything with Him. Do whatever He says and expect a miracle. That's the lesson. That's our instruction for life. After telling them to fill the water pots with water, He then tells them in verse 8, draw out now. Draw out now. Again, keep the Lord a priority in your life. Go to Him. Tell Him. Leave it all with Him. Do what He says. And I promise you, there will be something to draw. There will be something to draw. Draw out now, He says. And He tells them to carry it to the governor of the feast. The water was made wine. He is able to transform our everyday experiences. The water was not made to appear like wine. The water was not merely made to taste like wine. It was transformed into wine. And the disciples witnessed the miraculous transforming power of Christ. They witnessed the abundance that only He could bring about. They witnessed the sufficiency of Christ. They witnessed the difference that Christ can make. As a result, we read in verse 11, His disciples believed on Him. That is, their faith was increased. That's how faith is increased. By just doing what He says and observing the results. The fact that their faith was increased now means that they had a greater enjoyment of Christ. Faith and our enjoyment of the Lord go hand in hand. And they had greater peace. And they had greater assurance. Everyone needs miracles in their life. Everyone. We all stand in need of miracles. We know people that need miracles. Everyone needs miracles. Again, keep the Lord the priority. Do what He says. Expect a miracle. It probably won't be instantaneous. You just keep waiting. Don't take matters into your own hands. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. Just do what he says. Well, he's not saying anything. Well, wait till he does. It's very simple. Not simply done, but it's simple. The process. Well, he's not saying anything yet. Well, he doesn't want you to do anything yet. Wait. And when he speaks, you obey. And expect the miraculous. And you see that all through the Word of God. Brother Ben, would you come and lead us